Measuring agreement. A common misbelief is that correlation coefficient R is a measurement of agreement. Let us take the example of testing whether there is an agreement between the measurements of systolic blood pressure acquired by a digital and a mercury sphygmomanometer in a series of hypertensive patients. As seen in the table, it is quite clear that the digital instrument gives a lower reading than the classic one, and that this difference is systematic, being noticed in almost all reading. Comparing both measurements by correlation coefficient R may surprise some of us for giving an almost perfect correlation with an R value of 1, meaning 100%. This perfect diagonal line, taken by some of us as a measurement of agreement, tells us the reverse. Each point represents the paired measurement taken in each patient, and dropping an arrow on both X and Y axes clearly shows that both measurements made for the same patients are significantly different from one another. And in fact, a student test will report a statistically significant difference between both measurements. The series of dots here represents the true value of both measurements and show the systematic bias. The digital reading is always smaller than the mercury reading. For both measurements to agree, we have to have the same value of blood pressure by both instruments, and hence the line of agreement is not the correlation line shown here, but it is the 45-degree diagonal line where each measurement will give the same value recorded by the other. And the distance between those two lines, the correlation line and the perfect diagonal line, reflects the amount of disagreement between both measurements. The smaller is the difference, the more the two measurements do agree. You can take it as an average value of the differences that you have seen in the table before. Lenz concordance correlation coefficient quantifies the degree of agreement, and hence it shows a non-significant agreement between both measurements in our case, despite of the perfect correlation. Lenz correlation coefficient will be discussed and calculated among the other measures of agreement that we will explain in our next coming workshop.